tropical.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're diving into Bora Bora.
Oh, wow.
But not just, like, the typical postcard stuff.
Okay.
We've got these excerpts from a travel guide, and trust me, this place is way more than overwater bungalows and turquoise water.
I bet. Bora Bora has become like the icon for luxury and escape, right?
Yeah, totally.
But it's easy to forget, I think, that there's a whole other side to it.
Right, and that's exactly what we're going to uncover today.
Sounds fun.
Okay, first up, got to talk about the weather.
Uh-huh.
So the guide says there are two main seasons, wet and dry.
Okay. Pretty straightforward.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But I'm already sensing some twists.
Yeah, I mean, most people probably assume the dry season's the only time to go right. That's May to October, get those perfect sunny days.
The classic postcard stuff.
And the visibility for diving is supposed to be incredible then.
But you know me, I'm always drawn to, like, the less traveled paths.
Right, right.
And the guide hints that the wet season, November to April, could actually be pretty amazing.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it. Fewer crowds, a different kind of beauty, maybe?
Yeah, you're definitely thinking like a true adventurer there.
Uh-huh. Well, the guide does mention some upsides to that time of year.
Okay, but there's got to be some downsides too, right?
Well, yeah, those stronger trade winds during the wet season, I can imagine that could make things a bit interesting.
Trying to enjoy a cocktail on a super windy day?
Yeah, might end up wearing more than you drink.
Exactly. And what about that crystal clear water for diving?
Yeah, the guide says it's not as guaranteed during the wet season.
So it's a trade-off, I guess.
Definitely depends on what kind of experience you're looking for.
But hey, either way, sounds like Bora Bora's got something to offer, right?
Totally agree. And speaking of things Bora Bora has to offer, the wildlife.
Oh, yeah.
The guide makes it sound incredible.
It really is from what I've read, too. And this is where things get kind of cool, like from a scientific standpoint.
Oh, tell me more.
Okay, so Bora Bora is a dormant volcano, like rose right up from the ocean floor. So that means every single plant and animal there had to get there somehow.
Whoa, you mean like they all migrated there?
Exactly. Imagine that journey, right? Did seeds hitch a ride on driftwood? Did birds carry insects over? It's wild.
That is mind-blowing. And speaking of unexpected arrivals, the guide mentions all these friendly dogs roaming around.
Uh-huh, yeah. No flippers required for those guys, though.
Right. So how did they get there?
Early Polynesian settlers brought them over, and it seems like some have gone a bit feral over the years.
Oh, so like island dogs?
Yeah, but they're well-loved. Seems like they're living the good life there.
That's adorable. But, okay, we got to talk about what's under the water, right?
Oh, for sure. The underwater world there. It's like a diver's dream come true.
The guide makes it sound unreal.
It is. Hundreds of fish species, vibrant coral reefs. You can even pet manta rays. Did you see that?
Wait, hold on. Pet a manta ray. That's next level.
Right. And they were saying professional divers hand feed like 5-foot reef sharks.
Ooh, that sounds a little risky.
It does make you wonder, like how we interact with wildlife, especially in such a fragile ecosystem.
Right, right. But I guess the fact they're thriving means they have good conservation efforts in place, right?
Yeah, it seems that way. It's a good reminder that responsible tourism is key.
Absolutely. Okay, but for now, let's switch gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about Bora Bora's culture.
Oh, interesting.
The guide kind of hints at a past that's both heartbreaking and really inspiring.
Yeah, it's a bit of a complex history, isn't it?
So these English missionaries arrived in the 19th century,
Uh-huh.
and they had a huge impact on Polynesian culture.
Yeah, unfortunately not always for the better.
Right. They saw those traditions as, like, pagan, and they really tried to suppress them.
Really? Like how?
Temples were destroyed, carvings were burned, dances and rituals were completely banned.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what kind of pain and loss that caused.
It must have been devastating.
But thankfully, the guide says there's a silver lining to all this.
Oh.
Polynesian culture is making a comeback. Traditional music and dance are being revived. There's this renewed sense of pride in their heritage.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right. It's amazing, that spirit of resilience.
It really shows the strength of their cultural identity.
It makes you wonder what those ancient ceremonies must have been like,
Yeah, what stories did they tell? What did the music sound like?
Exactly. Especially since the guide mentioned this, like unexpected twist.
What's that?
Hints of country western music in the modern music scene.
Whoa, really? Country western and Bora Bora?
I know, right? How did that happen?
Well, clearly those guitars and ukuleles had an impact, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Imagine those Polynesian rhythms and melodies, but with a touch of country twang.
That's gotta be a pretty unique sound.
It's a great example of how culture evolves.
Yeah, how it takes in new influences and creates something totally new.
Totally. And you know what else I'm thinking about right now?
What's that?
Food. All this talk of Bora Bora is making me hungry.
Oh, me too. This travel guide is not helping. All these descriptions are making my mouth water.
So what are we talking about here specifically? Fill me in.
Okay, well, the guide talks about this dish called poisson cru.
Okay, what is that?
It's a raw fish salad, marinated in lime juice,
Interesting.
often with coconut milk and fresh veggies, super light and refreshing.
Perfect for that tropical climate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And get this, they also have these traditional underground ovens called ahima.
Underground ovens. Okay, tell me more.
So they wrap food in banana leaves, bury it on hot stones, cover it with earth, and it cooks for hours.
Oh, wow. I can practically smell that smoky aroma.
Right. And then, the best part, it's totally normal to eat with your hands.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's all about connecting with the food, with the tradition.
That's awesome.
They call this whole meal cooked in the ahima a tamara feast.
Tamara, I gotta remember that.
It's officially on my must-do list now. Sitting under the stars, sharing food cooked in the earth.
Doesn't get much more authentic than that, does it?
I know. Okay, so we've got breathtaking scenery, fascinating wildlife, a culture that's resilient and inspiring, and food that sounds incredible.
Bora Bora is checking all the boxes so far.
Right, but I have this feeling there's still more to discover.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
What about Bora Bora's history? Where did it all begin?
Okay, so the guide mentioned that the island was originally called Pora Pora by the Polynesians.
Pora Pora.
Interesting.
It means firstborn.
Firstborn. You know, with everything we've learned about the wildlife having to migrate there, that name takes on a whole new meaning.
It does, right? Almost
Yeah.
like they knew Bora Bora would become this, like, cradle of life.
Wow, yeah, I like that. But the guide also mentioned something about a military past.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's not something you usually picture when you think of a tropical paradise.
No, not really. But during World War II, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the U.S. set up a base on Bora Bora.
Seriously.
Yeah, brought in troops, built fortifications, turned the island into a strategic outpost. Wow, I never knew that. That's a side of Bora Bora I never would have imagined.
It's crazy, right? And get this, the guide says some soldiers were so captivated by the island, they didn't want to leave after the war ended.
Really? I wonder what it was about Bora Bora that had such a profound impact on them.
You know, it must have been such a bizarre mix, right? The reality of war happening in this serene, idyllic environment.
It's almost like two worlds colliding.
Exactly. It makes you think about the power of place, how it can shape our experiences and even change our perspectives.
So we're not just talking about beaches and overwater bungalows here. We're talking about an island shaped by ancient voyagers, European explorers, missionaries, and even soldiers from a world war.
It's quite a story, isn't it?
It really is. It's like a tapestry woven from all these different threads.
And it's still being woven today with every visitor, every interaction.
Exactly. It's amazing how much depth we found just from this one travel guide.
It really shows that even the places we think we know can surprise us.
Absolutely. There's always more to uncover, more to learn and appreciate.
I'm excited to see what else we dig up about Bora Bora in the next part of our deep dive.
Me too. This is just the beginning of our adventure.
It
It really highlights how a single location can hold so many stories, right?
Yeah.
So much history woven into the landscape. And it's crazy to think we're just scratching the surface with these excerpts from the travel guide.
Right, exactly. It makes you realize that travel is more than just relaxation or escape.
Oh, yeah.
It's about discovery, like you said, peeling back the layers of a place and uncovering those hidden gems.
I love that. It's about going beyond the postcard images,
Mm-hmm.
like really immersing yourself in the true essence of a destination.
Exactly.
So let's take stock of what we've learned about Bora Bora so far.
Okay.
We've got a handle on the weather. Those trade winds during the wet season sound like quite the adventure.
Yeah, could be wild.
And then there's that crazy story of how all the wildlife had to migrate there. Imagine those first pioneers, right? Arriving on those volcanic shores.
It really sparks the imagination, doesn't it? And speaking of remarkable journeys, those friendly dogs roaming the island, it adds another layer to the narrative, doesn't it? Polynesian settlers bringing their canine companions across the vast Pacific.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Testament to that ancient bond between humans and animals.
It's fascinating how these seemingly small details, like the dogs, can reveal so much about the history and spirit of a place.
Absolutely.
But I have to admit, I'm still stuck on those manta rays, you know, to think you could actually swim alongside them, even pet them.
It's an experience that definitely blurs the lines between observation and interaction for sure.
Yeah.
And it raises those important questions about responsible tourism, like our impact on these delicate ecosystems. Are we simply admiring these creatures or are we like encroaching on their world a little?
That's a good point. It's a reminder that we have responsibility to protect these natural wonders, not just exploit them for our own amusement.
Exactly, yeah. And speaking of responsibility, the guide's account of the missionaries' impact on Polynesian culture, it's a bit of a sobering reminder, isn't it? How easily cultural heritage can be eroded.
It's heartbreaking to think about all that was lost, right? All those traditions and beliefs almost wiped out.
It's devastating, but amidst that darkness, there's that glimmer of hope.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that Polynesian culture is experiencing a revival,
It's amazing.
they're reclaiming their heritage, sharing it with the world, that's incredibly powerful.
It's a testament to their resilience, their determination to keep their culture alive. And, it makes me even more curious about those ancient ceremonies, those dances and rituals that were almost lost.
I imagine they were so vibrant, full of symbolism and storytelling. And speaking of stories, that unexpected twist of country western influence in the modern music scene, it's interesting, right? Culture is constantly evolving, adapting, incorporating new elements.
It's like this fusion of old and new, like blending those Polynesian rhythms with a touch of country twang. I'd love to hear what that sounds like.
Me too. It speaks to the interconnectedness of cultures.
Right.
How music can transcend borders, create something totally new and unexpected. And speaking of unexpected combinations, the culinary scene in Bora Bora, from what I hear, sounds divine.
Oh, the food. Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. The guide painted such a vivid picture of those traditional underground ovens, the ahima, and that whole tamara feast. It sounds like so much more than just a meal.
It's a celebration of culture, community, and connection to the land.
Imagine sitting under the stars, sharing food that's been slowly cooked in the earth, infused with the flavors of the island.
I know, and don't forget eating with your hands is encouraged.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's about embracing the sensory experience,
Right.
Connecting with the food on a deeper level.
It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest things are the most meaningful.
Absolutely. And in a world that's increasingly fast-paced and technology-driven, there's something profoundly grounding about slowing down and savoring a meal in such a traditional way.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered the weather, the wildlife, the culture, and the cuisine. We've even touched on the island's military history. But I have a feeling there's still more to uncover, more layers to peel back. What about those ancient Polynesian origins?
You're right. There's always more to explore. Remember how the island was originally called Pora Pora, meaning firstborn? That name takes on a whole new significance when we consider Bora Bora's unique geological history, that incredible journey of its plant and animal life.
It's like this island was destined to be a haven for life, a place where nature could thrive and evolve in relative isolation.
Exactly. And that isolation likely played a significant role in shaping the distinct culture and traditions of the Polynesian people who first settled there.
It makes you wonder what life was like for those early settlers, right? Navigating by the stars, living off the land, creating a society in this remote paradise.
It's a reminder that the human story is one of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring power of connection to place. And speaking of connection, that unexpected chapter of Bora Bora's history, the establishment of a U.S. military base during World War II, it adds another dimension to our understanding of this island.
It's fascinating how a place that's so synonymous with tranquility and escape also played a role in a global conflict. Imagine those soldiers arriving from a war-torn world, stepping onto those pristine shores. What must that have been like?
It must have been a profound contrast, a clash of realities.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder how that experience shaped their perceptions, their memories, their very sense of self.
It's a reminder that even in the most idyllic settings, history leaves its mark, right?
Definitely.
And those remnants of the past, those bunkers and fortifications, they offer a tangible connection to that era.
Absolutely, a glimpse into a different time.
They serve as a reminder that the past is always present.
Woven into the landscape and the stories that shape a place.
I'm starting to see Bora Bora not just as a destination, but as like a living, breathing entity.
I like this.
Shaped by countless forces and events over time.
And that's the beauty of travel, isn't it? It allows us to step outside our own limited perspective and experience the world in all its complexity and wonder.
It's amazing what we've uncovered about Bora Bora just from these excerpts. It's like we've gone on a mini adventure without even leaving our seats.
It really speaks to the power of information, doesn't it? How even a glimpse into a new place can spark our curiosity and ignite our imaginations.
Absolutely. And speaking of sparking curiosity, before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a little something to ponder.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What you got?
Well, imagine you finally booked that trip to Bora Bora. You've got your itinerary planned, but you have a little extra time to explore something a bit more off the beaten path. What would you choose?
Oh, that's a tough one. So many possibilities. Would you seek out those remnants of ancient Polynesian culture? Learn a traditional dance from a local elder, perhaps? Or try your hand at preparing a feast in an ahima?
I love that. Or maybe you delve into the island's World War II history. Picture yourself exploring those abandoned bunkers, right?
Yeah.
Imagining what it must have been like for those soldiers stationed there, surrounded by paradise, yet caught in the midst of a global conflict.
It'd be a chance to connect with history on a personal level, to feel those echoes of the past.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating about travel. It's not just about ticking off destinations on a list, right?
Mm.
It's about opening ourselves up to new experiences, new perspectives, new ways of seeing the world.
It's about embracing the unknown, seeking out those hidden gems that make a place truly unique, and allowing ourselves to be transformed by the journey.
Beautifully said. So as we conclude our deep dives into Bora Bora, I encourage you to hold on to that sense of wonder. Keep exploring, whether it's a far-off island or your own backyard. There's always something new to discover.
Always something that'll spark your curiosity and enrich your understanding of the world around you.
That I said a bit myself. So until our next deep dive, keep seeking, keep discovering, and keep the adventure alive.